Schmoes Know presents HorrorFlix, a podcast covering all things horror, suspense, and psychological thrillers in the world of cinema. And now, here are your hosts, Cobbster and Cody.
What's up, horror fans? Welcome back to another episode of HorrorFlix.
That was impressive.
Thank you very much. I've been practicing my voice, my radio voice. Hello, welcome back to
Welcome, everybody.
9666, The Wave
98.9.
of Death. What's up, guys? How you doing, dude?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good.
We're in a different setting today.
We're in a different setting right now. We're in a cave.
We're in my dungeon.
And there's Legos, there's Godzilla toys, there's
a bunch of trash and boxes around.
A billion movie posters. We're in Cody's room right now.
This is Cody's lair.
Or his what do you called it? Your sex dungeon?
It's my abode.
Your abode? Yeah.
My abode.
You got all your toys on the wall, and I'm not talking Hasbro.
No.
So, what's up again? Hey, I'm Cobbster.
I'm Cody.
And we're going to be talking about horror films today.
Is that what we do on this show?
Yeah, we usually do.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
I'm waiting for the musical episode for a horror musical for us to talk about, but I think today we should talk about scary movies.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Because I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
And so this weekend, Insidious Chapter 3 is being released, and I'm pretty excited for it. We haven't seen it yet.
Me too. I like the series.
I do. I like the second one probably just a bit more than the first one.
Really? Okay, we'll get into that soon.
Yes.
You'll see why.
I need to rewatch them again in preparation for this. And I think next week we should do a spoiler review.
You want to do it? Just a full podcast on that?
Do a full
spoiler-filled Insidious 3 review.
Yeah, so be sure to check out Insidious 3 this weekend, and so you can come back next week. We can go all in depth and talk about it and stuff. That's like the intro.
Oh, I was about to.
Yeah. That's
I was a little confused, but I was just gonna let it happen.
That was more like a Van Halen hammer on, hammer off kind of thing. But whatever. So today we're gonna be talking about sequels in horror films because God knows there's too many of them.
Yeah.
And I think we'll have a lot of fun with it. We'll read your guys' comments. We'll discuss them, the ones we like, the ones we hate, and we'll get all in depth about that shit. We'll analyze it. We'll determine it. We'll decombobulate it. Whatever. All these cool words.
Yeah, what he said. I'm not gonna go ahead and try to repeat that. Or
that's
say
right.
anything else.
Spell discombobulated.
Oh, I can do this. DIS.
So let's talk some news in horror.
BULATED. Okay, sorry.
That might have been it.
That might have been it.
That might have been. That might have not.
Okay.
Who cares? We graduated college. We don't need.
We don't need fucking school.
So let's talk about. We got like two news stories that we want to talk about real quick.
Okay.
One of them is a film called The Green Inferno by Eli Roth.
It's alive.
Yes, it's coming. It's being released. Do you have the release date right there?
I don't.
Yeah, I thought you did.
I don't.
Okay. It's okay. But yeah, it's actually going to be released because what was it before? It was like banned. I think that's what it was.
They filmed it like a year or two ago.
Yeah, it was filmed a while ago, and they just wouldn't release it. But now it's going to be released
September 25th.
September 25th.
Its original date was September 8th, 2013.
Wow, Jesus, yeah, that's been sitting on the shelf for a while.
That's when it premiered at
Tiffany. So I'm very excited about this, and it's funny because I am excited because I'm not a huge Eli Roth fan.
Me neither. I was never into Hostel.
The visionary director of Hostel, Hostel 2. I like Cabin Fever. That's probably the only one of his work that I liked. But what
that
else?
one's fun.
I think he also did blanking. Maybe he did do that Aftershock movie, or he was just in
Selena
it.
Gomez one, I think.
But yeah. I just think I love cannibals. I love cannibals. I have posters of them on my wall. I've got plenty of them in my phone, and I just love talking about cannibals. So the trailers look really cool. It looks really brutal, very much like Cannibal Holocaust, like that film that came out in the 80s a long time ago. So it had that really cool vibe. And I think the trailer sold me.
Yeah, like it looks brutal like the Hostel stuff, but this one also looks like creepy. Whereas Hostel didn't scare me at all. It's just like, ew, what the hell is that?
Gross.
This one actually looks like legit scary. You know,
that's what I'm hoping.
I'm looking forward to it. And it was rescued by Blumhouse,
of course,
which is the production company that a lot of people are kind of getting mad at lately. I've been reading some of the comments because a lot of their horror movies that have come out so far this year aren't great.
True.
But I'll give them credit, man. That's a very smart business model.
They're trying. They're trying to do something.
Who else is releasing horror movies right now except those guys? You got to appreciate them for that. And I'd say half the time they're actually not bad.
They're not too bad. I mean, you're gonna get some stinkers here and there.
With that business strategy, you're gonna get some crappy ones.
Yeah,
of course. Paying really cheap to make horror movies. But
I think that's why probably people are getting mad because they are just releasing some okay movies and they're making a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And there's probably going to be sequels for a lot of them too. But hey, someone's got to do it. And if it's not Blumhouse, then it's indie films. And if it's neither of those, then
you get Crimson Peak, and that's about it.
Yeah,
that's
it's
all.
about it. But even like the indie films, like they're gonna pick up indie films probably that
they're
deserve more
responsible
attention.
for Whiplash.
There you go.
Jason Blum was one of the producers on Whiplash. So.
There you go, and that is a great horror film.
It's terrifying.
If you, if you think about it in hindsight, maybe
you can see it as like a paranoid,
you could
thriller
probably
horror type thing.
You could probably cut that trailer to make it look like a scary movie.
Oh, you ever see those when they do like Mary Poppins?
Oh no,
the horror movie.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire too. You did that one? I didn't see that one.
Oh, it's so good.
I'll
so good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that it's something good. And I just like I always want to love Eli Roth because he's such a passionate director.
Yeah, and everyone always says how great he is, and I'm just like.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I want to like this movie. I really
like. He's great on Twitter. He's interactive with the fans. He loves doing all that stuff. He's great in Glorious Bastards. So that's like one reason why to love him.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. I'm hoping for it, and let us know what you guys think about it. Are you guys excited for that? And then the other news is there was a picture released of a certain mask. It's the Scream TV series, which has been created by MTV, and they released the mask, and it looks like poop.
It looks like a face.
It
just looks like a plain.
Did you ever
face.
see that scary movie Valentine? Do you remember that? It was with
I think I remember what
Denise
you're talking
Richards
about. Yep.
and Katherine Heigl.
Yeah. I think I remember that one.
It looks like the Cupid mask that was used, and it just looks so stupid.
The whole point. People made this point a lot this past week. The whole point of the Scream mask was that it was generic and anyone can go buy it.
Exactly.
And that's what made it scary.
Not unique or anything like
this
that.
Is
they're making it on purpose. They're trying to make it scary is what it feels like.
It just looks dumb.
I honestly would rather not have any ghost face in it. Well, don't even call it Scream. Just call it a series of kids that get killed. You know, it doesn't. They're using the name just to
brand it and
get an audience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think the mask looks silly. It's not intimidating. Maybe it's going to be an evolutional thing where it evolves from that mask to the ghost face mask that we know.
Maybe.
I don't know as far as. I mean, I would assume if they're going to call this show Scream, they can get the rights to use the actual mask. I don't even know if the actor who does the voice for the role of Ghostface is going to even provide his voice.
I'm sorry. Why wouldn't they get the normal mask? Why wouldn't they? If they're calling it Scream, they have the rights for it. The whole plot of it is generally what the movies are about.
Yes.
I get you're trying to make it your own, but come on.
I think that's just what it is. Really, they're just really trying to make it their own. You know, like Teen Wolf is way different than the actual movie. So I mean, you know, to each his. I mean, MTV does a pretty. I don't want to. I don't watch either of their shows, but Teen Wolf has been going on for a while.
Yeah, they're successful.
And you know, their horror is actually not too bad. Do you remember that one? It was like straight to MTV movie. It was it was like the prom and there was like a murderer. Oh my!
Prom night with Britney Snow.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Woof.
I'm kidding.
Oh gosh, what was it? I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
It was a kind of a cool. There was like 2 movies I think they did for it where something happened in the past, and then this guy was coming back to kill everyone, and he kills everyone at this dance, and there's like all these terrible teenagers. It's kind of like it was a cool kind of throwback to 90s slashers. And I really enjoyed it, but I can't remember the name of it, but they did a really good job with that. So maybe they can incorporate some of those elements into the Scream TV series. I'm not too sure. If you can't find it, it's not a big deal. I'm sure everyone's...
This is the problem of like when your internet thing has Bing as the default search engine. So I'm searching that and it's nothing coming up.
What are you using? Like Ask Jeeves? You guys remember Ask Jeeves?
Ask Jeeves. Jeeves is the best.
Jeeves, he's the best. So I don't know.
Was it just called Prom?
It might have been.
There's something called Prom that popped up on
something called Prom. I can't remember. It was actually pretty decent. If you guys know what it is, you guys know what it is. So let's move on from that and let's talk about our subject for the day.
Let's
talk about.
You ready, class?
Let's talk about horror film sequels.
Yeah.
So what are your overall thoughts? I mean, necessary, unnecessary. I mean,
most of the time they're absolutely unnecessary.
Yes, of
and
course.
most of the time they're bad.
Yes.
But sometimes you get a good one in there.
You do get a few gems here and there. I mean, because you look at almost every single horror film that has been released, even the most iconic ones, they're sequels.
Yeah.
We've talked about
Wait
reboots.
for It Follows too. It's going to happen,
It's
people.
probably going to happen, and I could see it happening. I don't want it to.
I don't.
But, like, Babadook doesn't need a sequel. It Follows, I can see them.
I hope they don't.
Like if they
they
did
will do...
No, there's just no way.
I know the director said she doesn't, right?
Yeah,
she don't want a remake. I think it was.
I'm glad of that. But for the content of the Babadook, it's almost impossible. For It Follows, there's a lore there. There really is. You know what I mean? Because Babadook is very isolated in the story of what
strictly to that family.
Yeah, of what that thing actually was. Whereas It Follows can expand, and they can go to space, and they can go underwater. They can do all these other things, and we've seen sequels do that before.
Could you imagine if there's an astronaut floating around in space, and the thing is just following him, like just floating through space?
It's not. Yeah,
it's just for 2 hours.
Just. Actually, that score would actually work probably really well in space.
Yeah, imagine Gravity with that score. Oh, that's actually really creepy.
That'd be kind of cool. No, I wouldn't. I don't want to see that for sure. But yeah, but I mean, like when you're going into a sequel, I mean, what is it that you are looking for?
Well, it has to be scary.
Yes.
The story has to feel necessary. You can't just force the characters in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, try to elevate it from what the first movie was without going overboard.
Right.
And yeah, those are my key things right there.
And not repeating the same stuff from the original one.
That's another good one. You don't want to do the exact same thing.
A lot of the times with a lot of like horror films today, they kind of just throw the characters in the situation once again, and they got to figure it out. It's like a lot of them, like if you look at, I don't know, let's say like the Halloween franchise, you have those sequels. They kind of throw characters in the mix. They expand the story a little bit, but it's never the same characters. It's very rarely. Like Halloween 1 and 2, you brought back Jamie Lee Curtis for both of those, and then she eventually comes back. But then once they get into 4 and 5, they're different characters.
H2O
wasn't too bad. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it.
Some people brought that up.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. But it's like... I love it. Like, well, I mean, Insidious is a great example where they continue the story with the same characters, part 1 and 2.
Love 2.
And you've already established these characters. You're connected with them. Now you're seeing where they're going again, you know? Paranormal Activity series sort of does that by keeping in the same family and interconnecting those stories together. And that's what I love most because, you know, we always talk about horror films and how we want to relate to the characters. We want to care for them.
Paranormal's good about that.
They are. Yeah. And Insidious was the same way, too, whereas, it's not like Oscar caliber stuff where you're completely emotionally attached, but you are attached to them, and you don't really get that a lot in the sequels, like the Nightmare franchise.
No, that's just
it's like especially
look, as fun as Dream Warriors.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna talk about that one because that's probably one of the better ones out there. But I think the prime example of how you just throw random characters in there is the Friday the 13th franchise. As much as I love them and as much as they're fun to watch a bunch of kids getting killed, that's all it is.
That doesn't make them great movies.
You keep Jason in there as that linear storyline all the way through, and then as he's moving through time, he runs into these different kids each and every single time, and there is no connection there. There really isn't. Yeah. You can try to expand the lore of the not the MacGuffin, but whatever's kind of the threat to everyone. Yeah. And that's what they did in the Halloween franchise, which I didn't like. They go into his backstory, and there's
that's
a whole
so much
cult
creepier
thing.
If you don't know anything about
exactly.
him. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's what I really look forward to in sequels is actually continuing the story of whatever problem was dealt with from the very first movie.
It has to feel right to continue it. You can't just continue it for the sake of continuing it.
And there are sequels out there that do that where they don't really follow what happened in the first movie and they do something different, and it's fine. It really is. Even in some cases there's movies that repeat what the first movie did, like the Evil Dead. Evil Dead stood alone by itself. You didn't need a sequel, but when Sam Raimi came back for a second one, it's essentially the same movie as the first one, just with a little bit of a spin.
That goes back to the thing where like they elevated it, you know? Like they made it such a better movie just quality-wise, you know, and it's just such a good movie. I love Evil Dead 2. I'm sorry. And I know you're not crazy about the series, but...
No, I'm not crazy, but I do respect it a lot. I do. And for sequels, that's just, man, it's such a tricky thing, especially when you look at a lot of horror movies. There's not a lot of horror movies that stand alone by itself. Like, you would think The Exorcist, like, it should stand alone by itself, but there's sequels. There's sequels and there's a prequel.
There were those.
You would think, I mean, like, you know, we've talked about this before. The Shining is one example that doesn't have a sequel, and it's great that it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily need it. There was a sequel as far as a book goes.
Stephen King come out recently.
I think it came out last year. He wrote a sequel for that, which is, you know, more power to him because he's the original sorcerer.
Yeah,
he's the
sorcerer.
He's the original sorcerer for sure. But let's talk about some of our fans who commented on
you guys
all of
are
our
the
shit.
best.
Well, okay. Talk about doing a sequel to a movie that's great on its own, but completely spinning on it, which is Alien.
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Yes. Fan. Let's see. I just saw the name.
Cathal Thomas
Coleman said Ridley Scott's Alien is one of my favorite films of all time. Yet James Cameron did a fantastic job with the sequel Aliens. While the first one was more of a horror film, the second one ups the ante in action stakes. Yeah. And he goes on from there.
Yeah, I almost discounted this one just because I don't consider Aliens a horror film. But
yes,
it's just so good, and it still keeps elements from the first movie. You know what I mean?
Definitely is an action film with horror elements in it, but taking the first movie, which was a straight up horror sci-fi, and then switching it over to something different is unique, and it worked. You know, and James Cameron is pretty much the master at sequels.
Yeah.
And so who better to do that? But yeah, definitely. I think Aliens. That movie kind of scared me.
Aliens scared you?
As a kid.
Okay, fair enough.
I actually saw Aliens before I saw Alien.
Oh, no, you did?
I did, yeah.
I didn't see Aliens actually very recently, like maybe a couple years ago.
That's okay.
It was bad.
You've seen what? You didn't like it?
No, I mean like it was bad that I hadn't seen it.
You just said you didn't like it though.
No, I didn't. I loved Aliens.
Okay.
I have it on Blu-ray. It's right there. It's in there.
You also have Hot Pursuit up there.
I do not. No, I don't.
It's not even up there yet. So yeah, you got any sequels in mind that you want?
I'll have one that we briefly mentioned earlier, Insidious Chapter 2. It's one that look, the story continued and they completely changed what the movie was. You know what I mean? Like the first one was just a creepy, ghost in the house story.
Essentially the Poltergeist remake.
Poltergeist.
The better Poltergeist.
2 turned into this like thriller, like this whole home invasion type thing. You know what I mean? Because this guy's coming into the house and totally taking over. I just loved Insidious Chapter 2.
It was like Insidious Chapter 1 was a remake, a subtle homage to the Poltergeist, and then Insidious Chapter 2 was a subtle homage to The Shining, because you got Patrick Wilson character who's becoming more like the villain. He was so good in
that movie.
I thought he was brilliant. God. I thought it was really, really great, and I love the fact that we're getting some minor spoilers here. Just if you haven't seen Insidious Chapter 2, be warned. But I mean, you had some time when he actually goes back in time, and it ties back into the first movie where in the first movie he hears knocking on the door, and the door keeps opening, and the alarm comes off, and you find out that it was actually him in another time. It was like a weird time travel kind of
I heard that wasn't planned, like when they did the first movie.
It just worked out naturally.
When they were doing the second one, they're like, oh my god, that's brilliant. And it was.
I love when they do stuff like that. Sometimes that's when filmmaking's at its best. Like I was watching Back to the Future Part 1 and Part 2 yesterday, and even in like the first movie, it's like some things just happen so perfectly without intentionally trying to do so. Even like Star Wars was the same thing. They never intended Vader to be the father until they started doing the second one.
Real quick, Bridget Slevin says, obviously Insidious Chapter 2, the way it tied up all these bits from the first one added a new layer of greatness. So excited for the third. Us too, yes, and I'm hearing great things about it. Thank the Lord. Let's see. I want to talk about this one. We've talked about Grave Encounters before. Yeah.
You still haven't seen it?
Still haven't seen it.
Okay.
I love the idea of it that you keep bringing up, though.
Well, because this is what I can't remember. I think Blair Witch 2 did this terribly.
What a great sequel that
I know,
is. Yeah, totally.
But it was taking the original movie and making it as if it was fake, if it was an actual movie. Because in Grave Encounters 2, it's about a kid who's like a YouTuber, and he's trying to be a filmmaker, and he stumbles across this movie, and he tries to prove that it was real, because the producers of the first one were saying, no, that was all fake. It was a movie. The actors are just in hiding, or whatever it was. And then everything turns out to be real. So it was like bringing it to life, bringing that reality. It's so similar to how Wes Craven brought back New Nightmare. I'm sorry, he didn't do. Wait, he did.
Yeah, he did.
When he did Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but when he did New Nightmare, he acted as if that was all a movie series. And then Nancy, who played Nancy? Jesus, it's on the tip of my tongue. In Nightmare, yeah. But when Nancy's actress name, it's like Link.
1 second.
You got it?
Come on, Bing. Come on, Bing.
You using Bing?
It's what's on here.
What are you, Andrew Garfield?
Shut up. For you.
I know the name. It's going to piss me off.
Nancy Thompson was portrayed by Heather Langenkamp.
There you go. But when they...
And Rooney Mara.
Rooney Mara?
In the remake.
Oh, gosh.
Apparently.
Yeah. No, but that's doing a sequel in a way where you're bringing the movies as if they were actually really movies, and you're playing as if they are in real life, and I just love that idea. I think Wes Craven's New Nightmare did that perfectly, and then Grave Encounters did the same thing, doing differently, and I like when they do that. You know, I think it's different. It's I think it holds up pretty well. I think I did see someone bring up Grave Encounters too. Right here. Darren Lucas. He said, I think a smart sequel is Grave Encounters 2 because it creates the idea the first film was a real cover-up, and the characters investigate the idea that it was real. Yeah, same thing. And he also brings up Human Centipede Part 2, which I thought was one of the biggest piece of shits I've ever seen, just in my opinion. But it does the same thing where it's just a crazy nutbag fan of the first movie who wanted to actually try it. So then he tries it on like 12 people. And then there's a scene where a pregnant lady pushes out her baby and steps on it and kills it, and she drives away.
Ugh. I'm so glad I never saw
You don't need to.
Human Centipede 2. I only saw the first one, but
really,
oh god.
really, really don't need to.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's that, my friend. Let's get into some. So, I mean, like, you think sequels. Every time that I think of a sequel, I always think Part 2 for some reason.
Okay.
I don't go beyond that one.
That is the general connotation with it, yeah.
Yeah, and so when you get a movie like Halloween, which is a very vital and essential movie, not just in filmmaking, but obviously for horror films as well, because that is arguably one of the most iconic horror films of all time. You know, it's up there.
Agreed.
It is totally up there. And then so you get the sequel, which to its credit, I don't mind it. It's almost like a Richard Donner thing where Carpenter didn't really direct it, but he helped out a lot on, and he helped film some scenes. So there are aspects of it that I do enjoy. It isn't great, obviously nowhere near the first movie, but it was a decent sequel. Definitely better than the remake of Halloween, for sure.
I was about to say, you're not talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? That wonderful cinematic
I don't even know
treasure?
if I've ever finished that movie.
It's bad. Don't.
And so with that one, you get that one, and it's like, okay, fine, you know, and even like if you didn't have any sequels after that, it would have been a fine story, Part 1 and Part 2, because the way Part 2 ends, it just kind of ends, and they make it seem like Dr. Loomis dies too. So that's a plus. But then they do Halloween 3, and I don't know what the fuck they were thinking.
People brought that one up like it was like, what the hell were they thinking?
Like I remember reading a synopsis for this before even seeing the movie. It's like, the Halloween franchise takes a break from Michael Myers and lets him rest, or something stupid like that. For those of you,
the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Like, let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an analogy. Let's have a Godzilla movie without Godzilla.
I was about to say, let's have Batman without Batman. We're gonna have a Robin story.
I don't understand what the logic was. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Halloween 3 does not have any Michael Myers whatsoever. The movie is called Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. It has nothing to do with Michael Myers, nothing to do with Laurie Strode, Dr. Loomis, no one. It completely, I don't even think it's in Haddonfield at all, or I don't even know if it takes place on Halloween. It does take place on Halloween, but and the whole story,
it takes place on like Valentine's Day.
I know, right? It's Christmas. It's a Christmas movie. Yeah. To its credit, by itself, it would have been a fun, campy B horror film. Okay. But because it had the name of Halloween on it, just like the same
Season
thing with
of the
Scream,
Witch.
like just using the name for branding. The story is, it's like this fucking business guy.
Yeah, for the love of God, try to pitch this movie to me.
It's like they're using masks to take over the world. I don't know. It's fucking stupid. And kids wear these masks and they become little killers. It just does nothing for you. And I hate it. I hate it with all my life. I want to pee on it, and I want to create a mask that says, I hate Season of the Witch. I want to wear it, and I want to start murdering other masks. Okay. And I want to jump out a window. I don't like it.
All right, James Gordon agrees. He says, I know this isn't profiles, but could you guys do an in-depth examination into what drugs the guys at Universal were on when they greenlit Halloween 3 Season of the Witch?
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I'm with you there, man. I don't understand it. I really don't. Just that what I don't know.
Let's go to a better number 3. How about that?
Please.
I got one for you.
Yes.
Paranormal Activity 3.
Yes.
All right, now this may be... the best all-around movie in the series. You know what I mean?
I think so.
Not the scariest. The first one still got me there, but this one is just so fucking good. I love Paranormal Activity. The stuff with the witches at the end. Ugh.
It's creepy. I mean, I've talked about cults plenty of times.
Yeah.
Cults, no bueno. But yes, and it's doing the same thing Insidious is doing, where it goes back to the very beginning almost.
Yeah.
It's a prequel. I mean, all the Paranormal Activities. The second one was a prequel/sequel, and then this one even went back even further. But yeah, definitely. I think the scares, for me personally, the scares were more inventive in this one than there was in the first movie.
The fan cam is so fucking
It's
cool.
so cool. So cool. And then when the sheet is over the ghost and it just drops in front of the hot babysitter.
I thought the scene when the kids are upstairs and it like drags one of them and it's like throwing her around against the room. I thought that was actually legitimately terrifying.
It's pretty terrifying.
And the thing about these two girls, man, they're like literally the two most innocent people probably in the entire world at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just getting fucking trashed by this dude. It's so
just
fucking
hammered.
heartbreaking to watch.
And what's with the white dresses? Why you gotta put little girls in white dresses all the
That's
time?
just not. Ugh.
If I ever have a daughter, God forbid, she's wearing black all the time.
All
she's
day,
not
every day.
wearing any kind of white dress whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really great example.
Thank you.
And even skipping over the second one, at first
And
when
I
saw
like
it,
the second one.
I like the
I
second
do.
one a lot too, but going back, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
It
It doesn't really get good till the last probably 20 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say so. And that's to
Whatever.
each his own.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about the other ones. Let's see. I saw a good comment. Nicole Hamilton brings up Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3 were both pretty good. I think you have to watch the first 3 to really get the whole Jason story. I completely agree with that because, if you haven't seen the first Friday the 13th, then
You don't
heads
know.
up here.
Yeah.
Jason isn't actually the killer. I think actually that might be somewhat
That's
of a
like
misconception.
common knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people like resonate like, oh, Halloween or Friday the 13th, Jason. But Mrs. Voorhees, which actually she did pass away recently, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
May she rest in peace.
Yeah.
Jason finally can come out now and kill all these stupid kids who watch these stupid horror movies. So, yeah, she was the killer. And then in the second one is where he's actually introduced, and even the hockey mask isn't introduced until Part 3. So the second one, he's got this basically like it's like a shopping bag over his head. No, it's like a little double
Which
bag.
might be more terrifying.
It was. I think so. Yeah. And then he finally gets the hockey mask in the third one, and then that's where you kind of get
That's
full
where you get
circle.
the iconic look of Jason.
Yeah. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, it trails off, and they go into space.
That's a series I just lost so much. Like, I can't recall what 4, 5, 6, what all those are about.
They blend together.
They're all blend together.
They really.
Like,
and then there's even one of them where Jason's not even the killer. It's.
Really?
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I think the whole story was. They're not mental patients, but they're kids that are like suicidal or kind of distant from reality and stuff like that. And I think one of the killers ends up being like one of the caretakers who was like imitating Jason or something like that.
So the real Jason's not even in it.
I can't remember. I don't think so.
Well,
No, I don't.
It's probably
think he
not
is.
great enough to remember. It's okay.
Well, I mean, dude, if you look at Jason Goes to Hell, he's
that one's
like,
just fun.
He gets blown up in like the first 15 minutes, and then his demon presence goes into other people, and he takes over other people. So he's not even really. You don't really get to see even like the full mask and everything.
Yeah.
So Mark and Brian, actually, the guys who used to do 95.5
KOS,
they were actually in that movie. I think they get
Were
killed
they?
in one scene. Yeah, they
awesome.
play like 2 cops, and I think Jason like butts their heads together and they die. This is pretty funny.
Gotcha.
But we're gonna talk about another really fun sequel in the Friday the 13th series. I know we talked about this before, but Jason X is so much fun. I love
that was
watching this piece of
that
shit.
scene that we watched a couple weeks ago for that show.
The
That
head
was just
busting
fun. That
scene.
was just.
Yeah.
I felt more enlightened
Fun.
with life after
I
that.
mean,
you
look,
know?
you look at all the sequels that have been into space. Jason X, Leprechaun.
What a fun category we have of movies here.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Scream to get into space too. They just don't do that anymore.
Oh, the TV show's well on its way with this ridiculousness.
I hope so. Is it bad to say that I kind of want to see another franchise be in space?
No,
Did Hellraiser
I'm right
go
there
to
with
space? Then I don't know if Hellraiser actually went to
Hellraiser
space.
like never got crazy. Like that one always stayed creepy. I think for the most part,
Just
like it never
brutal,
got like
violent.
yeah. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for bringing up that one. I do really enjoy the Friday the 13th series. I'm sure we can do a whole franchise episode on that.
Yeah,
because there's.
we'll have to take a solid week to prepare for that.
Yeah.
Watch a new one every day.
Let's do this. Let's talk about sequels that are better than the first movie. Do you have any in mind?
For horror, not off the top of my
I have
head.
one, VHS 2.
Oh, good one.
VHS
yeah, okay.
2, I think. And
I had that on my list,
This
too. I
one
didn't
was
think
also
about that.
brought up by, I'm sure a few people brought it up. VHS 2 seemed to have better stories, although it was not as scary as the first one. Yeah, the third one. This one comes from Adam Gonzalez. The third one's just terrible, man.
Ugh.
Not good. But, because I do think there are a lot more creepier moments in the first VHS.
Mm-hmm. That
but,
first short still
yeah,
makes me
yeah,
jealous of
absolutely.
that fucking chick.
That one, and then gosh, what was the other? The Haunted House one kind of gets me too. But I think the problem with the first VHS is that it took itself way too serious. It tried to be way too scary, whereas VHS 2 had a little bit more fun with it and kind of did the Cabin in the Woods thing, kind of poke fun, but also, just having a blast with horror filming, having more creative ideas in it.
Yeah, I was about to
But
say.
still, the Safe Haven short,
that one.
it is creepy.
Is that thing on YouTube? I have to go back and just watch just the Safe Haven short.
It might be sections. I would just go back and watch the whole movie, my
That's
friend.
true, yeah.
The zombie one is
The
my
zombie
favorite.
one's great.
That's the shit. The only weak one is like the first one where he has the eye.
And even then, there's
it's still creative.
Yeah, there's still creepy moments.
You actually see him blink throughout the whole thing, and it's
that's
not
pretty
annoying.
Cool. Yeah.
So I do. Yeah, that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. This one isn't as good as the first one, but Casey Sitter brings up Predator 2.
Predator 2 or Predators?
Well, he says, I love that movie.
Okay.
Movie that I don't think gets enough credit is not Predator 2, but Predators.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I love how they give it a new spin by putting the people on Predator's home planet. Well, I will say this about Predator 2. It isn't terrible.
It's not.
I really enjoy it.
Not nearly as memorable as the first one,
and
but it's good.
It's funny because in that movie they hint at Alien versus Predator, because when Danny Glover goes onto the Predator ship, you see a skull of a xenomorph on the wall, a bunch of other different things. So I do think that they were trying to do Alien versus Predator for the longest time, and then Paul shitty ass Anderson eventually did it. But yeah, I just think. I mean, you got Bill Paxton. I love. Okay, this is what
anything with Bill Paxton, you just gotta.
I'm gonna love every. Yes, absolutely. But what's funny is that Bill Paxton was also in. I love that he was also in Aliens 2 and Predator 2, and then they finally met up. Imagine Hicks. Was he Hicks or Hudson? He was Hudson.
Yeah.
Hudson. Imagine Hudson versus his character in Predator 2. Hudson would probably. I don't know. Hudson would. Come on, man. I was saying he's more of a pussy. But yeah, let's talk about Predators. I love Predators, actually.
Predators, I've only seen it once. I saw it when it was in theaters.
Yeah, that movie really...
I liked it. Yeah.
It really doesn't get enough credit. And I get it. Adrian Brody isn't an action star. You don't need him in the same role.
Get over that, people. Yeah.
But he holds the fort. I think he does a really great job. And it homages the first movie a lot more so than the second one, and even any of the Alien versus Predator, for sure.
I love the twist that they were on the aliens planet the whole time.
That was a twist?
No.
Was it a twist?
It was surprising to me. I was like, whoa, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. I can't remember actually being surprised by it.
Wasn't crazy about Topher Grace in that movie. He didn't really.
His whole arc, because he was kind of like the reason why they were on the planet.
Yeah.
Like he made a deal with them or something like that. I actually wasn't a fan, and I'm just not a fan of his actor, Lawrence Fishburne's character.
You're not a fan of the actor?
Not really. He's like, I like Morpheus, but
other
that's
than Morpheus,
kind
I guess
and what's the other movie in the Hood? Boys in the Hood. There you go.
Okay.
I like him in that
The
movie.
Hood.
He's a shit in that movie.
Okay.
But I don't know. His character's so over the top in it, and he's like, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, "I'm alive." Like he's just a little too much, a little too much. But yeah, and plus the Predators look awesome in that movie. The effects are really, really great. And all the music, all the same tropes from the first movie are in there, and I think it's a great callback because it almost seemed like a remake to a sense, but it was like a reboot sequel, one of those kind of things.
Predator movie in what? Just Predator by itself in like 20 years? When did 2 come out?
Predator, the first Predator came out in the 90s. I think.
No,
I think so. I don't know. We don't know dates. Yeah, we don't know, man. So yeah, obviously, I think Predators is pretty great. Let's see. Trevor Hagen says, "Well, Jaws 3 was a pretty terrible film. I think everyone can unanimously agree that Jaws: The Revenge is not only the worst Jaws movie ever made, it's not only one of the worst sequels ever made, it is one of the worst movies ever made." Absolutely.
I'm not a fan of this movie.
No, Jaws. I like obviously the fucking first one is iconic and it's incredible. Jaws 2, I enjoy.
There are aspects of that
because
I like.
it brings back the same character, and it puts a little bit of a spin on it. They start to get in that territory where it was like the shark is hunting down this family and stuff. And I actually do enjoy the last sequence where all the kids are on the rafts and they're trying to kill the shark. They're trying to get away from it and stuff. But Jaws 3, before we get into Jaws of Revenge,
Jaws 3 is the theme park one, right? Is that
yeah,
the
yeah,
one?
that's it's like the SeaWorld one, and Dennis Quaid's actually in it.
Yeah.
too. It's in 3D.
Isn't Michael Caine in that?
No, he's in Jaws
Jaws
of Revenge.
Sorry, right.
Yeah, woof, just woof. It was trying to be 3D in that like 80s era where 3D was like starting to become a thing. And it's like the actual red and blue glasses that you think of, not like the crazy IMAX
Like
glasses
the
we
paper
get
ones
today.
that you probably just make with a fucking scotch.
Exactly. So, not good. But Jaws of Revenge is a fucking comedy. It really, really is. The main actress,
Sir Michael Caine, man. No.
She drives a boat into the shark while the clips from the first movie is going on of Brady shooting Brody. Sorry, you're right. And he's like, "Smile, you son of a bitch!" And as soon as he says that, she like wheels the wheel really hard and tries to slam it in. And then shark makes noises. It makes like T-Rex noises. Sharks don't make noises. They don't roar.
Discovery Channel's a thing, people. You can know this.
I don't think sharks can roar, especially jump up super high above the water and float for a good 5 seconds before coming back in.
I mean, I've seen that Planet Earth special when the great white jumps up in the air for like 2 seconds, but not
Right.
5.
Gosh,
That's
no bueno.
Jaws the Revenge. Oh, boy.
Jesus, thank you for bringing that up and making me a good.
I kind of want to watch it right now.
I haven't laughed like that since I was a little girl. Okay, I'll bring this one up if we're gonna talk about sequels that
are just fun.
I might just say it might be almost as good as the first movie. At least level with it. 28 weeks later.
Oh, dude, that was on my list. That's
there you
a good
go.
one.
We
I
think
like
alike,
that
we're
one.
good. You're wearing a Captain America shirt. I'm wearing a Edge of Tomorrow shirt. We're
Oh,
connected.
okay.
It's
Don't
not
see how that's
at all.
connected, but okay. Here we
But
go.
yeah, I love 28 Weeks Later.
I like it. It's
a
fun.
great spin.
I
It's a
love
great
those
spin.
zombies, man.
Yeah,
Like those ones are just so much.
It's an
I
interesting
like fast
world.
zombies.
I want to see 28 months later. I want to see it.
Oh my god, they should.
Could you imagine? Well, the
28
way they
months
ended it
later.
off, they needed to.
Yeah.
Well, because the
Get on
first
it,
one,
people.
I watched the first one, 28 Days, which is a great little small.
Love it.
I think it's independent. I don't know,
Isn't
but
it
it's very
weird
small.
how much The Walking Dead's pilot episode, or I guess pilot comic, is based? Is like
Like,
it seems
similar
exactly
to
like
that.
28 Days Later.
Yeah, similar to that. I don't know which one. I don't know if the graphic novel came out.
Maybe
before
something
the
came
movie.
before 28 Days Later too. I don't know.
Might-
but I just thought
might
it was
be.
funny how they're like.
Completely different worlds.
Yeah.
And if you watch the first movie, it's very isolated. I mean, you do see a lot of the zombies and stuff, but it's not like this huge epidemic thing. Whereas 28 Weeks Later is, and I like the story because it's like the virus is
You
completely.
think it's gone?
It's
Yeah.
completely
Ah.
wiped away. It's all been saved. They've all
Yeah.
starved to death, and then all of a sudden they find new survivors, which just so happens to be like the two kids' mom, and then she attacks the dad, and then it just spreads, and it spreads like rapid because now they got the Americans involved because they've got Michael from Lost in it, they've got Hawkeye in it,
Michael from
and
Lost.
Isn't Idris Elba in it too?
Yes, he
is
is.
in it. Yeah,
yes,
he plays
is.
a small little role in it.
Jeremy Renner. Oh, that's right. You're right. Hawkeye
Yeah,
was in that.
so
Wow.
it's a great and Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne's in it?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really great cast, and it doesn't shit all over the first movie.
No.
It respects the original one. It continues the story. Different characters, obviously. I would have loved to have seen Cillian Murphy return.
Yeah.
But this is one of those instances where you can take a horror sequel, you can take that concept and put different characters in it because it's such a massive thing to do, and I think it worked really well, and I enjoyed it. And I was really sad to see some of the characters actually perish.
That director really hasn't done much since that. He
that
did
one?
Intruders. Danny Boyle did the first one, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did Intruders, but that was about it. I think that was with Clive Owen. Oh well, that's
Yeah.
bad.
Well, it's definitely a lot better than Hills Have Eyes 2.
That
is
you
a
talking about the
poopy-
new one?
Yeah, Poopy,
Ugh.
the remake. Well, even the original one too. The original
Yeah, those aren't really. that good.
Hills Have Eyes Part
Yeah.
2 wasn't good. You get it because 28 Weeks Later reminds me a lot of Hills Have Eyes in the sense of the
Really?
military,
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's like a military group involved, but there's just non-likable characters left and right. Everyone's just mean. Why you gotta be so mean? Why you gotta be so rude?
Don't ever sing that song on this podcast
No,
again.
not a
Don't
fan?
ever. I
I'm not really a fan
hate
either.
that song. Ugh.
So yeah, Hills Have Eyes 2. We don't need to talk about that one too much. I just
Yeah.
want to bring it up because it's poopy. But
It's
Paul
poopy.
Allen brings up
Paul Allen, man, that
yes,
guy.
he's the best. Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is my all-time favorite sequel. When I was about 7 or 8, I went to the local store and bought the sticker book for Nightmare on Elm Street. While I was too young to watch the movie, I collected stickers and had the book nearly complete. A few years later, I watched Dream Warriors for the first time and seeing Freddy on screen yelling, "Welcome to prime time, bitch," started my obsession with the series. Absolutely. I do think this...
this one is widely considered to be might be the best one.
One of the best ones, and it's not even a second film; it's the third movie. Next to New Nightmare, this is the best Halloween. I mean, obviously, close to the original first. Wow!
You know what? Just take your time.
I just had a stroke.
We're gonna enunciate together.
We're gonna be back next week, and I'll be a carrot. Next to the original one, and next to New Nightmare, Dream Warriors is incredible. It is. And you bring back Nancy. You bring back, I think the father comes back too. And you start off with these characters that are dealing with this before. And they're the last remaining kids, I think, that lived on Elm Street. I think it's something like that.
Yeah,
and
I'm reading it right now.
Freddy's trying to come back and kill them. And whereas Nancy's kind of like their teacher and teaches them to fight back. And I love that idea because in all of the Nightmare on Elm Street, it's the kids eventually fighting back, but most of the time it's like a little too late. Whereas
it's like a third act type thing. This is like a whole plot, right?
This is the whole thing of them fighting back, and it doesn't necessarily work in their favor, but I love that concept. I love that idea. There's some genuine creepy moments in it, and then Patricia Arquette brings a great level of acting to this film.
To Kristen Parker, the character.
There you go. And
I'm on the Wikipedia page. Sorry.
Oh, you are? Wikipedia is a great source.
It's great.
It's a great source. If you're in school, use Wikipedia.
Okay, yeah.
Wait on.
Let's talk about this. Okay,
real quick.
Okay.
If you're in school, use Wikipedia first. Then you go to other sources to back it up.
Yeah.
Don't credit Wikipedia, but get your basis of knowledge there first.
Yeah. There's at the bottom of every Wikipedia page, kids. There's little hyperlinks to whatever source they got it from. There you go.
Hashtag Billy. Hashtag
Professors
Wikipedia.
lay off Wikipedia. Okay, it's a good source. Yes, people can go in there and edit
too.
But yeah, exactly, they do. But it's a good.
Hashtag Billipedia.
Billipedia.
There you go. So yes, that was out of nowhere.
That was fun.
I think
that's our education.
We're gonna make
corner.
a Wikipedia horror film.
Okay.
Where we start off and we change the facts.
Changing the pages.
Oh my god, it'd be creepy. But yes, I love Dream Warriors. I think it's a lot of fun. Some cool death scenes in that one as well.
I'm sorry. You can be like, he changed Cody's page from 92 to 2014. He's gonna kill him.
It's oh, that's good.
Yeah, but he's gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like in the shitty Unfriended trailer. Just well, the glitch just typed. Oh, it's so dumb, But yeah, like he changed his status from being born in 92 to 91.
He said his personal
Wrong.
He took away his girlfriend on his personal life section.
But I don't get it. He says he went to Cal State Fullerton, not Fullerton City College. Jesus. That's sad. That's going to be made in 2 years.
Oh, that's so funny.
Another Isaiah Belcher brings up Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is not only the worst sequels, but one of the worst movies ever made. Okay.
Wow.
Stop it there, pal. You stop it. This is one of the first horror films that I've ever seen in my entire life. So I do hold it.
Really two.
I do hold it to a special place in my heart.
Okay.
Also known as one of the gayest horror films ever
I was about to say this is the gay one.
Yeah, this is the gay one. It's not good, but it's fun. Okay. It is fun, and it's definitely no Jaws: The Revenge. That's for damn sure. Let's go. Sigurd Stranda brings up, I recently saw Hannibal and thought it was quite refreshing. Being the only one in the Anthony Hopkins movies where he is free, I really like the location and the tone of this one, and I'm glad they are going in this direction with the Hannibal TV series. I need to get into the TV series.
Yeah, me too. I watched a couple episodes, but I couldn't really get into it. Hannibal's okay.
I think it is okay. A lot of people aren't fans of this one.
Because I think this one, they tried to make it, Silence of the Lambs is just super duper creepy, and then they add awesome scenes in there. Mm-hmm. This one, I think they just try to make it scary throughout, and I don't think it really worked.
I do think there's great elements in it for sure. Mm-hmm. I don't know why Julianne Moore took over as
why didn't it?
I don't understand. Maybe there's a contract thing. I don't know the whole story behind it because I actually saw this one recently too.
Really?
Maybe a couple years ago for the first time. I actually prefer Red Dragon.
I was about to say I'm more of a Red Dragon guy.
I like Red Dragon just a little bit more than Hannibal, and that's sad because Ridley Scott, it's a great director behind it.
Didn't Brett Ratner do Red Dragon?
Yeah, which is interesting.
Surprising.
It's very interesting.
That's probably his best movie.
Yeah, and I know people prefer Manhunter. JT would be screaming at us because Manhunter.
Oh, he'd be pointing out 50 movies that we already haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
that's
right.
what he's doing.
That's right. Yeah, because we don't know nothing.
Yeah, we know nothing.
So yeah, I do. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. It's not the best. Isaiah also brought up Troll 2. I've never seen this movie, nor
I've
will
only
I
seen
ever.
like the infamous clip.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I don't think I will ever see this movie. I've never seen Troll 1, never 2. Just not a fan of those type of films. No.
James Joseph Lister says ones that I agree with. He says, I'm a massive fan of Army of Darkness as a sequel. While Evil Dead 2 is brilliant, it does almost feel like a remake of the first one, whereas Army of Darkness takes the series in a completely different direction. I just said. Two different direction and manages to stay true.
The erection went left. It didn't go right. It went down instead of up. What is this madness? Jesus.
It goes inward. What is this shit? Anyway, good. I agree. Army of Darkness is a lot of fun. I know you haven't seen it, right?
No.
It's cool. Like I don't consider this one really too much of a horror. This is like a straight up comedy with horror elements in it. Mm-hmm. There's so many great quotable lines that I can throw out right now that you won't get, so I'm not going to do that. But see it, dude. You don't really need to see 1 and 2. I mean, I know you've seen them, but you don't need to be a big fan of 1 and 2.
I've seen the beginning of this one, I'm pretty sure, where he first arrives in like medieval times.
Yeah.
A great one, another one that I think is pretty superior to the original one is Dawn of the Dead. The original
I was waiting
for
you to bring this one.
Yeah, because Night of the Living Dead is my favorite favorite zombie movie of all time. It's the first one, or at least the first one that did it really, really well. And Dawn of the Dead just it's so much fun. It is so much fun. I love the practical effects. George A. Romero, I think, is a mastermind, at least in his earlier days. And I do think it's good. Another great one that we've talked about before is Scream 2.
Yeah.
Stephanie Harper brings up all these really great ones. 28 Weeks Later, Aliens, Dawn of the Dead, and Scream 2. Well, not as good as the original one, but pretty damn decent. It's the best one that we've had in a long time.
They did a great job
Scream
with
3 and 4,
I like 4.
Yeah, I like 4 too. 3 is the weakest one. We talked about it. We had a
we had
Scream franchise.
We should do a Scream episode, Cobbster.
We should,
yeah.
Two's
good.
But Scream
very
2, I mean, Mickey, you got Timmy the Elephant, the twist at the end, Randy's death, very iconic.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's death.
That's one thing that's interesting too, is actually like killing, if main characters from the original movie are in the sequels, actually killing them off. It's ballsy. Like in some instances, it works. It works. Like
that with the Randy thing.
For me, it worked at least. I know a lot of the fans didn't. They need something that's good. You're not going to kill the main character,
Sidney Prescott. Neve Campbell.
You're not going to kill her in the second one because she is obviously the main character. But you bring back characters from the original one, there's going to be some stakes raised. It's unfortunate they only did that with the second movie because I do think they should have killed Dewey or Gale and at least 3 or 4. They should have, because that would have really up, because 4 they almost marketed like she was going to be killed. Gale was going to be killed.
Oh, they should have.
They should have. So and they should have even killed Sydney in the 4th one.
Yeah.
Too. That would have been really interesting as well. Mm-hmm. But 3 and 4 played it safe, whereas 2 was really ballsy in killing Randy. I
get the logic behind it. Yeah, I totally understand.
Right. And then eventually it wasn't a good movie, but eventually they end up killing Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
And in Halloween Resurrection.
That's true.
Not a good movie, but they
it happened. They had balls.
They needed to kill the character somehow, and she died in that one. And then even in Dream Warriors 2, they kill off an important character in that one as well. So let's bring up like 1 or 2 more.
Okay.
I know that there's probably a ton that we haven't brought up. I'm trying to think. None of the Exorcist ones.
Brian Matheson says Phantasm 2 is a good sequel.
I've never seen it. I've never seen any of them. No. Yeah. A lot of people bring up Dead Snow. I think.
No, that's that.
No,
that's that zombie one, right? The B movie type thing. I think. I don't know. I could be way off. I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. I haven't seen it, guys. Hope it's good.
Okay. Let's see. Oh gosh, Texas Chainsaw 3D. No.
No. Read that guy's comment. I remember he was saying
Nick Rutton says the second best is Texas Chainsaw 3D. Wait, stop scrolling and give me a chance. I know everyone hates this dumbass movie, but I really like it for one reason. They made me not feel like an ass when people are getting slaughtered. The best part of every horror movie, for me, is when the asshole character gets killed, and in this movie, every person that gets killed is an asshole. The whole script is about intentionally making us hate these characters so we enjoy when they get massacred, and Alexandra Daddario is stunning, and I could watch her in anything. Well, that, my friend, I can agree with. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what most horror films are today, is just asshole kids, really. And in that sense, maybe it could be more fun. Maybe it was more intentional, but that movie just aggravated me so much. It was almost illogical. It was almost insulting to us because even
what'd she say? She's like, "Go get him, cuz," or something like that.
Yeah, go get him, cuz. Like even I don't like. Well, that's one thing. I don't like the the idea of treating Leatherface as a hero because he's not. And then also what pissed me off was the timeline in the movie because this was supposed to be like a direct sequel to the first movie.
Yeah.
And the first one was like in the 70s or the 80s, and then it's like 15 years later, and they all have iPhones. It just like timeline wise, it just doesn't make any sense. It's a very nitpicky thing, but it bothers the shit out of me.
No, yeah, that bothers me
really,
too.
really does. So yeah, let's.
You ever seen Ginger Snaps 2?
No,
Megan Gold said that. I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Did you ever see the first one?
No.
It's not too bad.
Ginger
it's
Snaps?
pretty cool.
What is this?
It's a werewolf movie.
Oh, okay.
Where these two sisters, and one of the sisters gets bitten by a werewolf, and she starts to slowly become one.
Oh.
I think it's kind of a dark comedy.
Okay.
But there is one scene. Me and my buddy, we used to think this scene was the fucking creepiest thing, where they used like heroin as a way to try to kill it.
To kill the werewolf.
Yeah, and so there's this one scene where they're trying to cook it up in the closet, and this big ass werewolf just comes in and grabs one of the friends and just starts ripping him apart. Just brutal.
Wow. We need a good werewolf movie.
Yeah,
like a recent one. They tried. We tried Wolfman, but
yeah. Well, American Werewolf in London.
I'm saying like
is
a recent one though.
But
I'm saying like a now.
There was a sequel, American Werewolf in Paris. No,
yeah.
Was it Paris? I don't know. It was not good.
I think it was Paris.
It was pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Paris, London, aren't they the same? No, they're not.
No, not at all.
Kind of close. They're close. They're like neighbors. Let's see. A lot of Insidious Chapter 2s. Final Destination 3 was fun, kind of.
Aspects of it. Yeah.
Some aspects of it. I prefer the second one over the third one.
Yeah.
There's just too damn many. There's way too many.
Good job with the comments today, guys.
Yeah, you
Appreciate
guys were killing it. Love that you guys are all commenting. But let's wrap it up there. I think that's fine for right now.
Let's do a bedtime story.
You want to do a bedtime story?
Yeah, let's load one up. I'll load one up.
Okay, you'll load one up. So yeah, I know that we probably left out a lot of sequels. You guys brought up a lot of really great ones because there's really not too many out there that hold up and are actually really, really good. I do enjoy a good horror sequel. We're getting one with Insidious Chapter 3. Hopefully it's as good as a lot of people are making it out to be. And, we got Conjuring 2 that's going to be coming out pretty soon, too. And that's with James Wan. So he's done decently with sequels. And so let's hope that he can do better. So, yeah, we're going to do a bedtime story.
Yeah, we didn't do one last week.
We didn't do it last week.
This one's good. I like this one.
You like this one?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who is it by? I don't know if
This one's from Brian H. It's called
H.
The Sandman.
Ooh.
Did you read this one?
No, I don't think
It's good.
so.
I remember reading this kid like, oh, man. Okay. Get ready, kids.
I'm fucking ready.
A few years ago, I lived in a house with a few of my friends. We had a few creepy things happen while we lived there. Seeing people walking around out of the corner of our eyes and some noises and stuff, but the worst night was the night the Sandman came.
Oh, shit.
I always had really weird vibes sleeping in my room, so I slept on the couch mostly. One night I laid on the couch texting a friend before I fell asleep. Another friend of mine, Jacob, was staying the night on the other couch. He was already asleep. I kept my phone on my stomach waiting for the last text so I can put it on the table and finally get to sleep. I passed out too fast for that. I was jolted awake very violently, like I got hit by a bus when my alarm went off at 5:45 a.m. I was out of breath and covered in sweat. I reached down to my stomach and grabbed my phone to turn the alarm off when I noticed I was covered in sand. It felt like there was someone staring at me, standing right next to me. I looked around the room to see Jacob passed out on the other couch and everything else was still and silent. Confused and running late for my 6 a.m. shift at work, I got off the couch and go to the bathroom. I stand there peeing and feel that my chest is burning a bit. I look down and there's a red handprint on the middle of my chest like I'd been slapped. By the way, there are pictures with this.
What?
Yes, I'll show you in a sec. My first instinct was I had slept on my own hand, leaving marks, but the physics do not add up. How could I have rolled onto my stomach to get enough weight on my hand, roll over onto my back to wake up, and have my phone stay sitting on my stomach throughout the whole ordeal? Even just laying on my hand, my chest could leave the mark, but it was facing down as if someone stood over my head and slapped my chest. There was no way I could make my arm to get the correct angle. I start to freak out. I take a couple pictures of the handprint, which are down below, and I brush off the rest of the sand from my body. I felt like someone or something was standing right next to me, so I said, fuck showering. I need to get the hell out of here. I go back to the living room to get my clothes on, and as I'm putting my clothes on, Jacob's snores start to turn to groans and muttering in his sleep. I stop for a second, thinking he's awake. I say, dude, are you awake? There is only silence. And then he says very calmly, he's behind you.
Fuck.
I jump in the air and do a 360 twirl, expecting to see Satan himself, but there was only a dark kitchen. Jacob sits there sleeping peacefully. I grab my shirt and sprint out to the car, finish getting ready in the parking lot. Jacob recalls nothing of the night. Everyone is confused as to why there's a thin layer of sand on the couch, and we forever fear the spirit of the Sandman.
Jesus Christ, man. That's not cool.
Wow. I don't know if that's fake, but that's a damn good story.
Well, I mean, I'll put up these pictures. I get lazy with the YouTube stuff, and I don't usually put pictures, but from right here, if you're listening on YouTube, those are the pictures right there.
Yeah.
My word. That's
Woo!
That's not cool, man. Ooh. Well, at least you were smart and you just got the fuck out of there right away.
Leaving his friend, but okay.
I want an update.
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Jeez. Wow. Okay. Now I won't sleep tonight.
All right.
That's a bedtime story for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy that. I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but we do it because we love you guys. We do it for you.
Man. Oh, for you.
Well, that's going to wrap it up on a fucking downer. Jesus. Mm-hmm. I'm just sad now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of HorrorFlix. Hope you guys really enjoyed it, talking about sequels. If there's any sequels that we forgot, which I'm sure there is, as we often do, let us know. You can scream at us. It's fine. But as long as you rate and review us on iTunes and subscribe to our feed if you haven't done so. If you're new to this show, review it, subscribe to it, do all those really cool things.
We give out cool stuff sometimes.
We give out cool stuff. Brian Fernandez, we gave out Texas Chainsaw, some random Blu-rays we gave out to you guys here and there. We'll do another one next month. You guys will have opportunities to do that, and we'll have some more fun interacting with you guys. So, be sure to do all that on iTunes. Subscribe to us on the YouTube channel, Schmoes
Podcast?
Schmoes Podcast. On YouTube, like this, comment down below, and let us know what you guys think about this episode. And
Facebook page, check us out.
Like us on Facebook. Brian Fernandez has been promoting the shit.
He's been our advertising guy. He's been our Don Draper.
So be sure to check all that stuff out. Follow me on Twitter at Cobbster15.
Follow me on Twitter at @TheRealCodyHall.
Because you are the only one.
Yep.
You are the only one, Jon Snow. I don't even know if that's an actual line, but it just sounded cool. So thank you guys so much for listening. Stay tuned for next week's episode, which will just be a full spoiler review of Insidious Chapter 3. So be sure to go and check that movie out and get ready. And I'll make a Facebook post that'll be full of spoilers and stuff. So just beware. Beware the scare. Have fun sleeping tonight, Cody, because you are going to be visited by the Sandman.
Off to Never Land.
I'll drink some beer.